We can't recall, certainly you can't with all these neurological parasites, a time where an independent candidate has made such an impact. I'm talking about the polling and the impact that you're making, in head-to-heads v. Biden, head-to-heads v. Trump, and it's very exciting.
My polling now shows, and as you said, it's unique in American history, where an independent candidate in head-to-head polls, Zogby just did the biggest poll, the largest poll, typical polls, Russell, like the Gallup poll, Quinnipiac, Harvard Harris, New York Times Siena are around 1,200 to 2,200 people. Occasionally they'll get 3,000. The Zogby poll is 26,000 people, and it has a margin of error of almost zero, and it's all 50 states. So you can actually look at the election outcomes, and because the margin of error is so low, anybody who does this poll will come up with the same results. And what the results show that what they polled was a head-to-head contest. So me against, or Biden against Trump, with me in the race, and Biden loses. Biden against Trump with me out of the race, Biden loses even worse. He loses 2 extra states. He loses Maine and Virginia, and those go to Trump if I get out. So the people who are saying I need to get out to save Biden, what we found is that 57% of the people who support my campaign say that they will vote for President Trump if I leave. Okay. And then we measured also me against Trump. So Biden can't win no matter what. When I run against Trump with Biden out of the race, I beat Trump narrowly by about 3 electoral votes. And when I run against Biden with Trump out of the race, I beat him in a devastating landslide. So I win 39 states and he wins only 11. And there's never been a time in American history when an independent candidate polls this high in head-to-head races against the existing candidates, which we already knew because my favorability ratings are the highest. And people would like to vote for me, but they are voting for them because out of fear. Oh, if there's 3 of us in the race right now, a lot of people would vote out of fear rather than out of hope. And over the next 6 months, my big challenge is to get Americans to vote out of hope rather than fear.
I would like to, if I may, ask you now about the $95 billion aid package that's just been passed that includes military aid for a variety of countries, and which I feel like Lindsey Graham said wouldn't have passed without Trump's endorsement and support. When it seems that as this campaign escalates and continues, you're likely to be drawn into further conflict, albeit verbal, with Donald Trump, even though it seems that your initial concerns are ensuring that you're not regarded as a figure that's taking votes away from Biden. I feel that equally it will be people that are ardent supporters of Donald Trump that will ultimately or additionally come to fear your ongoing inclusion in this election. I wonder where you stand on Trump's support of that bill. I wonder how you feel generally about the potential that 2 ultimately anti-establishment candidates who in various ways have policies and ideas and convictions that are in alignment, whether it's the current incumbent of the White House. How are you going to navigate the territory going forward with Trump? And what in particular do you suppose are the points of difference between you and Trump, when I feel like in both cases your popularity owes something to the perception of that you are anti-establishment candidates and the feeling that people in America want real, meaningful change, transparency, clarity, openness, an end to censorship, less legislation that seems designed to curtail and foreclose on free speech? Where are the points of difference going to open up? Where are you going to be willing to engage in conflict with Trump? I recognize that you've invited him to participate in a debate, and where would you take that debate, Bobby?
I've asked him to debate me. We're both speaking at the Libertarian Convention in Washington, D.C. this week, or May 24th and 25th, Russell, and I've offered him or asked him to debate me then. I oppose the aid package to Ukraine. I was surprised that Trump actually endorsed it because he's tried to present himself as an anti-war candidate, which he did last time as well. But then he brought John Bolton in to run NSA, and he brought a lot of warmongers in, neocons in to run his military and intelligence apparatus. And they're the people who were, who laid the groundwork for the Ukraine war. He walked away from a nuclear weapons treaty, intermediate weapons treaty with the Russians, and he did a lot of other provocative things. What I see is that President Biden and President Trump are very different people. If you look at their dispositions, if you look at their personalities, if you look at their ideology, if you look at just their approach to life, all of their sort of interactions with the rest of us and with the world. But if you actually look at the issues that they talk about, that they differ on, it's a very narrow Overton window. It's guns, it's abortion, it's transgender rights, it's the border, and a handful of other culture war issues. And these are all important issues, but they're not existential issues. The existential issues are issues that they never talk about and that the American people want to hear about because our nation is at stake. And one of those issues, of course, is the national debt, which is now $34 trillion. And, the service on that debt alone, it costs us more than our military budget already. Within 5 years, the cost of servicing that debt will absorb 50 cents out of every dollar that we collect in taxes. Within 10 years, 100%. This is not sustainable. It is existential for our country. We have to figure out a way to cut that and grow our economy. And neither of them is talking about that. Why aren't they? Because they ran up half of that debt between the two of them. President Trump, in 4 short years, added $8 trillion to the debt, more than all the presidents combined from George Washington to George W. Bush, 283 years. And President Biden is now racing to catch up with him. And over the past 100 days, President Biden has added $1 trillion to the debt. It's sinking us all. They can't do anything about it because they're the ones who created it, each one in 4 years. The chronic disease epidemic, which is the biggest issue now in our country, and $4.3 trillion a year it's costing us, and they did nothing about it during their terms except for supervise its expansion. They don't have any capacity to do anything about it, and they're not even talking about it. The polarization between Americans, that both of them say they don't like the division and they blame it on the other guy. But it's more toxic now than at any time since the American Civil War. It's being amplified by the algorithms and the social media sites, and it is going to destroy our country if we don't figure out a way to bridge the divide and get people to see themselves as Americans again. President Trump and President Biden cannot do that because they are the products of that polarization. They're telling people, you need to hate my opponent, you need to hate MAGA people, you need to hate, Democrats, communists, whatever. They're feeding into it. Their whole electoral strategy is on marginalizing that group, their opponent's group, and getting people to fear them. The issues that you talk about, transparency in government. They presided over government. They did nothing about the transparency. They did nothing about the lies. Our government now lies to us every day on a variety of issues. And what I'm going to do the day that I get into office is pass an executive order saying that any public employee, federal employee who lies to the public in conjunction with his job responsibilities will immediately lose his job, no matter what subject it is. I'm going to forbid lying. I'm going to open up the Freedom of Information laws so that we really see what's happening to our government. I'm going to put the budget on blockchain so every American can look at it 24 hours a day. And I'm going to have total transparency in government, which is what democracies are supposed to be about. The war machine, as I said, neither of them can unravel that. Both of them are addicted to it. Both of them surround themselves with people who are trying to perpetrate it. Oh, those are just some of the issues that, the corporate capture of our government, this corrupt merger of state and corporate power, they are part of it. President Trump said he was going to drain the swamp. But he comes in and he puts Scott Gottlieb, who is a business partner of Pfizer, in charge of the FDA. Scott Gottlieb does a $100 billion favor for Pfizer and then leaves to go back to Pfizer, to the board, to collect his payoff. And if you look at each one of the federal agencies, the same thing happened. Somebody from industry, Trump brought somebody from industry in to run that agency. That person generally profited on it, and then went back to the industry to collect their, to collect their dues. So I see the rhetoric is very different, but what they actually are offering the American public, they're both the same.
Hey, this is exciting. We've got a great partner today. It's Rumble. But beyond Rumble, it's Rumble's latest venture. Let me ask you first, are you a Sleepy Joe type character with zero cognitive performance, struggling to muster focus and brain power for basic things like running the United States of America? You've got to stop drinking woke liberal coffee that hates you and your way of life and start your day by drinking Rumble's very own 1775 coffee. This is going to be the best tasting coffee you've ever had. Seriously good, ethically sourced from a family farm in the high altitude mountains of Bolivia. Not in the Bolivian lowlands run not by a family but by a single man still living with a pet. No! Instead of waking up and drinking your big corporation owned woke ideology coffee that's probably making you sick from the pesticides it's sprayed with, try Rumble's 1775 revolutionary coffee. Support freedom of speech. Build a parallel economy that actually values you and loves you. My favourite? It's dark, of course. I've always found the lure of the dark irresistible. I'm sorry, how can I stay mad at you? But you're just going to have to wait over there for a little while. Level up your morning routine with a 1775 coffee. Sleep all night knowing your hard-earned dollary dues are going towards supporting freedom-loving creators like me on Rumble. Visit 1775coffee.com now, pick up your first bag, use the code BRAND to save 10% on your first order. Oh, come on. Why choose,
Hey, thanks for watching. If you want to see more uncensored content where free speech can flourish, join our live stream. Click the link right here to watch the next video if you want to, or become a member of a growing movement. Download the Rumble app and you'll be informed every time we make a new piece of content. Stay free.